Hey everybody, today I'd like to discuss the American metal band Cobalt. Cobalt formed in Colorado in 2003, and the lineup consisted of Eric Wonder handling all instruments and Phil McSorley handling vocals until a lineup change down the road. So the first thing that Cobalt released was a 4-song EP titled Hammer Fight. Those 4 songs would go on to be represented on the debut album War Metal, along with 3 new songs, so 7 songs overall. This was released in 2005. And when you hear the title War Metal, it might lead you to believe this is going to be a genre-defining release of war metal the way that most metal fans see it. That being bands like Revenge, Proclamation, Black Witchery, and things like that. But Cobalt definitely has a different image. I mean, look at that album cover. That is just a horse standing outside at night. And the lyrics are based more upon reality-based warfare due to Phil McSorley's background with the American military. Whereas the other style of war metal is all Satan, goats, gas mask, and more of a grind death black mixture. Musically, this is very different as well. I don't hear a ton of death metal, even though there were several instances that did bring me back to Old Carcass, and not a lot of grind influence either. In reality, it's a muscular, beefy, aggressive black metal release that already has Cobalt's unique style emerging. My favorite song on here is the closer, Empire of the Moth. So next up would be Cobalt's breakthrough, 2007's Eater of Birds, released on Profound Lore Records, a label they have been on ever since. I bought this the week it came out, and it was touted as being unique in that it was drawing from bands such as Swans and Neurosis into their black metal sound. And I do hear like mid-era Swans during the instrumental, atmospheric, ambient pieces, Ritual Use of Fire, Part 1, 2, and 3. And not to mention that ex-Swans vocalist Jarbo has a guest appearance on this album. My favorite song on here is Blood Eagle Sacrifice, and I agree with many people that this is the best Cobalt album. It's just awesome riff after awesome riff, and it just has a real kind of rolling downhill, just increasing momentum on each one of these songs. And the Neurosis influence definitely shines through predominantly in the tribal style drumming that is one of Cobalt's trademarks at this point. And I do have a copy of Eater of Birds on vinyl. It's double yellow. Next thing that will be released is a stopgap EP in 2008, Landfill Breast Milk Beast, released in 2008. So this is 3 songs. You have Stomach, which is a song that would be on the next album. Was it re-recorded for Gin? I don't remember. But there is a Nausea cover. That song is called Extinction. And then when discussing Eater of Birds, I spoke of the 3 ambient pieces, Ritual Use of Fire, and on this EP, those 3 songs would be merged into one and lengthened with some other parts added in that were not on Eater of Birds. 2009 would see the release of Jinn, another one of their most loved albums. I do like that this is a little bit more varied than Eater of Birds, but I find that some of the songs drag on more than necessary, in my opinion. That's Ernest Hemingway on the cover, and that's him on the back cover later in life. And on the CD. My favorite song on here is Armory, and some new influences are emerging. On a couple songs, I got big Primordial vibes of all bands, and there is an emerging Tool influence that I didn't really pick up on at the time, but when the next album came out, there will be more Tool to discuss. It would be about 7-8 years until the next album in 2016, Slow Forever, would be released. This is a double album, about maybe 80-90 minutes. Slow Forever. And before I go any further, this is when there was a lineup switch. Eric Wonder still handles all the instruments, but Phil McSorley was no longer in the band, and Charlie Fell from some other bands, but predominantly known from the band Lord Mantis, would join the group. Definitely a great performance on here, but a little one-dimensional. Charlie or Phil, I mean, they're pretty different, so it's hard to compare them. But this album here, at first, I just kind of felt like it was Cobalt, somewhat streamlined, and made more accessible. And then I was more recently looking online just at what other people had to say about this album. And people were saying it's basically like old Cobalt meets Tool. And I was like, never really thought of that. Upon listening to it now, yeah, big time. Not weird Tool. We're talking rock band Tool. The drums, albeit Eric Wonder is no Danny Carey, who is, but big influence on the drums, and especially the riffs. My favorite song on here is Beast Whip. Eric Wonder has a solo project called Man's Gin, and this is the debut album, Smiling Dogs. All these are going to be on Profound Lore Records too. I was really into this one when it came out, but the next one, Rebellion Hymns, I don't know why, but I always found this a chore to get through. And I didn't even mention yet that Man's Gin is not a metal group by any means. It is a dark folk rock project. And an album would be put out in 2024, The Reprobate, and it looks like new copies are sold out, so you gotta find a used copy. And considering I didn't really like this one, I wasn't in a rush to get it, but I'll check it out when I can. I'll stream it a couple times and go from there. But yeah, Cobalt. I made a video about them a couple years ago, but it was really just flashing some CDs and not really telling you much about the music. So here we are now. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.